Discord regulars and one of the insiders himself. That would be Mr. AM Plus Money. And the Bundesliga got underway today. He's going to be talking about some of the games upcoming. I know that he had a difficult time with his picks this morning, but that's soccer for you. That's football for you. It is definitely a difficult thing to predict, but AM Plus Money is one of the sharpest soccer handicappers I know, and he's been giving out lots of winners to everyone in our Discord. And so here he comes, I think. Yeah, there he is. AM.
How's it going?
Good, buddy. How about you?
Oh, I'm good. Still alive.
Right. Well, that didn't go exactly as planned this morning, obviously, for you. And but as I was just saying, I mean, it's a difficult sport to predict, and especially coming right back. But anyways, we have 3 more games coming up, right? Is that correct? We have 2 tomorrow and 1 on Monday.
Yes. So one is in the morning tomorrow, 9:30 Eastern, so 6:30 for you, and the other one's at 12 Eastern. So.
Okay. So.
And yeah, the other one's on Monday. I think the Monday game is at 2:30.
2:30 Eastern, yeah. And that's the one that I know a little bit more about personally. But if we want to look at tomorrow's games, I'm just bringing that information up now, just so I can speak again. Okay. So you've broken these 3 down. And but before we get into that, let me just... What did you think with the no fans in the stands today?
Well, it was definitely interesting to see how some of the games turned out, because I'll be honest, I was expecting some games to be more high scoring, but I was expecting a lot of the games to be very low scoring. I wasn't sure how teams were going to mesh chemistry wise, because not only have they been on break, but these teams haven't really got a chance to train throughout that together because they've had to isolate. So
right,
it was definitely interesting to see, like, for teams like Dortmund, obviously having no fans in the building doesn't really change the energy that was displayed out on the field.
Right. And Dortmund had a lot of its starting cast was sitting out, but it didn't seem to matter against Schalke.
That was one thing I was concerned about with them. That's why I didn't really have full faith in Dortmund today, because I knew Marco Reus was out. You had Axel Witsel out, and then you have Eric Howland, who they just acquired before all this stuff happened. He's played maybe like 2 or 3 games with the team, and like,
he got
how
one,
is all
didn't
that
he?
going to mesh?
He got one, yeah.
Yeah, it was just, I wanted to see how all of that would mesh together. I was expecting that was a big derby, the Riverby Derby. So I was honestly expecting Schalke to put out a little more of a fight. They came out strong in the first 10 minutes, but that quickly faded over time. Also, one of Schalke's players he could have broken a record in the derby if he scored today. So I was really expecting, that's why I went with both teams to score. I was expecting more of an effort from them, but that's okay. Like, it's the first game's back, and I'm not really worried about it.
No doubt. No,
it didn't go heavy on this card anyway.
I've personally always found going into a season, I have a difficult time always at the beginning of the season when I can assess what's gone on after the first, even week. I find it easier. And so this was difficult. And so you thought that no fans in the stands, it affected the scoring early. I mean, after the first 30 minutes, there was no scoring in any of the games. And then, some of them opened up after that. That Hertha game, it went in 0-0 at halftime.
Yeah.
And then they won 3-0, right?
Yeah, to the 60th minute, it was almost to the 60th minute, it was 0-0. And all of a sudden, that game exploded. Like, there were quick burst goals. So,
yeah.
it's always it's interesting to see because then you look at the Paderborn game and that one was scoreless. So obviously
Mhm.
these bottom table teams are going to have those kinds of problems where they're already struggling to get motivation as they try to fight the relegation spots. But now they have nobody supporting them in the stands too. So I'm looking for probably the worst, like the bad teams are gonna perform poorly with this no fan situation, but I think like the Bayern Munichs and the Dortmunds, they're gonna be fine.
Right. And I wonder, yeah, I mean, that makes sense. And especially, I mean, I'm just trying to translate what we saw with no fans in the stands in Germany over to like North American sports when it comes back with no fans in the stands. You know what I mean? And how
Yeah.
will it be the same sort of, and if can we draw any comparisons and stuff and use that to our advantage when betting those sports? I don't know, but it's something to keep in mind for sure. So anyways, moving on to Sunday AM. And so we're talking to AM Plus Money, and he's part of the Insiders Room Discord, and he's been giving out lots of winners until the pandemic, of course, in our Discord. But yeah, so the first game is at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, and it's FC Cologne versus FSF Mainz. So I have not whatsoever researched either of these two games on Sunday. I do know a bit about the game on Monday, though.
Yeah,
What do you?
so we'll start with the Cologne game. I have my plays written down here, but yeah, so I definitely think Cologne is a better team than FSV Mainz. Like they're
And I
both,
mean, that's representative in the spread, of course, here.
yeah,
But
they're not the best teams.
hmm
Mainz is definitely more of a bottom table team, and Cologne actually was at the bottom of the table just before the Christmas break. So around that time, the Cologne, they in the last like after we came back from the January transfer window, they picked up a lot of wins and
right.
they steamed up the table very quickly.
hmm
So they're in better form, even though form isn't really, it's not something that's going to be a giant factor because these teams haven't played in like 2 months, but they
Right.
definitely do have the motivation because they were at the bottom of the table
hmm
and they saw how quick now they're 5 points out of a Europa spot. They literally
Okay.
can take over Schalke. I think it's Schalke, or today it might be. I think Wolfsburg climbed into that spot, but
That was a bit of a
they
shocker, that one, too.
actually I was kind of expecting. I stayed off the game because Augsburg and Wolfsburg were both. They're both like it's so hard to predict the way they play, but Wolfsburg is even they're supposed to be a good team, but they haven't been performing well this year. A lot of draws at the beginning of the year set them
You
back,
know what?
but
That came in extra time, too, that goal.
yeah, and it was interesting because Augsburg was winning 2-1 at one point, and they took the goal away.
That's right. It was, exactly. Yeah.
So to see Wolfsburg come out and win that in the end, that was
hmm
definitely a shock. But
Right.
I kind of saw it coming. But when I did see Augsburg went up 2-1, I wasn't surprised. It wasn't
Right.
something
I
that
mean,
like,
it's
oh
not
my
that
god,
shocking. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
yeah.
Right.
But yeah, when I saw that, so they were Wolfsburg. They're not. I think they can be better than they are
Okay.
for sure. So, but anyway, going back to Cologne, I definitely
Right.
think Cologne is a much better team than Mainz.
So can they win in regulation?
I think they can, and that's going to be one of my plays. Cologne on the money line at minus 110.
hmm
That's what I got it at. But
Right.
yeah, so
That's a fair price.
I personally, I just think they are the better team when you break it down. They actually do have a pretty good home record as well.
So it's a sprint to
Besides,
the finish line here for all the teams, right?
yeah, basically. So
Yeah.
teams are trying to lock down those final spots, especially up in the top five. And like I said, this is a team that now they've smelled the blood. They're close. They can make a Europa spot easily. The teams that are ahead of them, like everybody's got a chance to slip here. It's nothing's written in
Right.
stone.
No, you're right. And certainly today proved that with some of the action.
Yeah.
Was there anything else you wanted to say about that 9:30 a.m. game?
Yeah, so I also like the under 2.5 in it at plus 120 because although I do think Cologne is going to win the game, I think it'll be very low scoring, 1-0 or 2-0. Because looking at the series history, it's been a very home team dominated. And like I said, Cologne, they're at home. Even though there's not going to be home advantage, they tend to play very well at their home stadium. Besides a
Right.
setback in February against Bayern, they really haven't lost
So it'd be
in their building since November. So
I mean, a major upset if they, obviously.
yes. Now Mainz does have one of the top scorers in the Bundesliga, but I don't think. I think because this is still their first game back, everybody's going to be a little rusty. But I think Cologne can pull it out for sure in a low-scoring match. Most of the games between these two teams are very low-scoring.
Okay, so there you go. That's broken down there by AM Plus Money. He's part of our Discord here on the Insiders Room, and so he likes Cologne. I'm seeing at Pinnacle, it's even minus 107, and the under 2.5 on the total. But going into the afternoon game there, it's FC Union, Berlin, and Bayern Munich. And so I haven't seen the total on that, but obviously it's where's the value in this game then?
These are the kind of games that it's always hard to find value in a Bayern game because they're always so heavily favored. And I do agree. I think they're going to win this game. But where I find the value in this game is in the total because
that makes sense.
Bayern's a very good team. And you saw it today. Dortmund was able to put up 4 goals. I'm very sure that Bayern Munich can put up 4 goals. It doesn't matter that they have to travel and they're on the road.
So it's 3.5 is, to get the decent juice. Although I see 2.5 minus 250 at Bet365 and stuff like that. But
I actually think the better play is the over 3.5 because I personally think Bayern could score. I think they could score the 4 goals themselves.
So it could be like 4-1 or something.
Exactly. And if you look at, I know everybody knows Bayern scores a lot. They are averaging a little over 3 goals a game since back in January, or February. So they're playing. They always tend to score. They're a high scoring team. They have very good players. They're by far the best team in that league, talent wise, anyway. Even though they don't always show it out on the field. But Union Berlin, they score a lot too. I look at their past couple matches before all this happened, and a lot of 3-2 games, 2-2, very high scoring. They tend to score, then they get scored on. So even if Bayern only puts up 3 goals themselves, I see Union Berlin getting a goal too. So the both teams to score is a good play. I haven't locked it in yet, but it's definitely something I'm looking at because.
And what's the price on that?
I'm not 100% sure. I think
pretty decent. You'd have to imagine.
Yeah, I think it's minus 110 or something like that. But yeah, it's definitely a play I'm looking at now. I've locked in the over 3.5 at plus 110 because just in case Union Berlin doesn't get that goal.
Well, that's better than everywhere I'm seeing now.
Yeah,
so you got a good price on that.
Yeah, I get all my odds at Bet365 in case anybody wonders. Yeah, that's where I'm getting these lines. So yeah, basically the over 3.5 is the play I'm going with because, like I said, saw it today. I went with both teams to score. I was really trusting Schalke to get a goal today, and it didn't happen. And now that I see how these teams are going to perform, I have more faith that Bayern can score 4 goals than relying on Union Berlin to get a goal.
Right.
But I do think they have the ability to score. So. Okay.
Well. Yeah. Then, Do you have anything to say about that game? Anything more on that one?
No, that's really all the
Right.
value that's there on that game. Unless you want to
Yeah.
look at the corners, which I haven't looked
No,
at
I
yet,
like
but
that.
I might put some plays out on corners if you watch out for those the next day.
So would the Bundesliga, they typically have higher scoring games, or what? Like, yeah, I mean, 3.5s. When you see that,
Yeah,
I'm
a lot
just
of the teams score a lot.
personally,
Like,
I bet lots of soccer over the years, all, but it's definitely not my forte. And I follow a lot of different people that I know, and also, follow myself and everything. But so I'm just haven't followed Bundesliga, obviously, nearly as closely as you. So I'm just wondering about the scoring tendencies.
yeah,
Uh,
because like I said, Bayern's a high scoring team. Red Bull Leipzig's a very high scoring team. Leverkusen can score 5, 6 goals in a match. Like all the top teams you see at the top of the table, even
mhm.
Schalke, they can score 3 or 4 goals a game. So if they really put their
Right.
players to work, like if they
Yeah,
really
no, that's
get in the
surprising
zone,
that they got shut out like that against their almost second team,
yeah,
reportedly, or from what I've read and been told and everything.
yeah, and that's the thing. Even though all these teams can score a lot, so then you get in a situation where, well, even if they don't score the goals themselves, you're getting 2-2 games or 3-2 games because each team is scoring.
Hmm. So, hold on. Don't want spreads. I just want money lines. And so then we get into that Monday game,
Yes.
and
And
that,
I know you have some thoughts on that.
yeah. What do you think about Leverkusen on the road?
I definitely like Bayer Leverkusen here. They are a very strong team.
Uh huh. So
They're
Bayer,
just
how do you pronounce that?
yeah. So
Leowitz. You don't. Yeah. Okay.
it's just
Leowitz.
Leverkusen, I believe is the way to pronounce it. But
Right.
obviously, I'm sure the Germans have a different way of saying it.
Yeah, they have a bunch of things going for them in their favor in this game, right? Because Werder Bremen is like one of the worst teams in the league.
Oh yeah, they were doing okay at the beginning of the season, but somewhere before the break they took a dive. They were losing games. I think they've lost something like 5 of their last 7 matches, and one of those was a draw too included. So that's they haven't had a last like couple of matches. They have not gone their way.
Right. So obviously you like
Yeah, so I definitely
Le- and what about the
I
total in that game?
I definitely like Leverkusen. I took them on the money line at minus
Leverkusen.
138. Yeah, I'm gonna take them
Okay.
just I believe they
Yeah, I
can.
like them too, for sure.
Yeah, they're a very strong team.
Hmm.
They like I said, they're in Europa League, so they have multiple things to play for. They have players, they have scorers. That's a team that can score a lot. That's why I also like the over 2.5. Now it might be a little high at minus 150, but I took it
No, I
because
like that. Yeah, no doubt.
yeah, Leverkusen's another team where even if Werder doesn't score, which honestly I don't think they probably will score a goal,
But it's
but
going to be like a 4-0 beatdown or
I
whatever.
think Leverkusen can just beat them down. They definitely have the players.
Yeah,
They gotta they gotta play.
right.
They gotta have a strong comeback. But I think they're definitely the better team here.
Have you been paying attention to any of the UFC?
I haven't really had a chance to talk to my UFC Connect, but he nailed the last week, and I was on a show live with Al Mack doing that, and
Hmm.
I took a parlay,
Yeah.
and I totally got burned on the main event there, and I had to hear about it from my buddy because he had Gagey, of course. So
Right.
that's all I had to hear about. How he nailed every fight and that. So I'm going to be talking to him more often.
So do you think that's going to happen in tonight's fight? I hope not. I don't. It's hard to see that the thirds. I mean, because both of the events in the main event, the favorite has lost. Is that not correct? Didn't that happen on Wednesday night?
Yes, I'm pretty sure it happened on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it'll be
so it's Walt
interesting.
Harris and Alistair Overeem. I mean, that's such a. I mean, they're basically even. The odds are basically even when it comes to an MMA match with odds like that. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, they are very low. Usually you see like a minus 250 or something like that. But
So, what about the Edson Barboza and I don't know how to pronounce Dan's last name. How do you pronounce that? Ig? Ige.
um, I think I honestly don't know. I think
Ige.
I was saying Ige earlier, but
Right. That kind of looks like Ige. Yeah.
yeah, that's a
Iggy or
literally.
Ige. Yeah.
So
Danage. Danage. Yeah, what do
yeah,
Edson Barbosa, he has lost 2 in a row coming into that fight. Danage is on a bit of a roll. Barbosa is considered one of the best strikers at that level, and uh, he hasn't had a belt, but this is kind of like he's come down in weight to fight in the featherweight, to fight in this, to fight against him. But this is like he's like 32, I think, and he needs to basically win this fight. This is like a must-win fight to save his career and get it going back the other way. And anyways, I kind of like Barboza to
I
bounce
kind of like
back.
Barbosa too.
He likes to
Like I
stand
said,
on his feet. That other guy's better on his on the ground, but so
yeah. I don't know too much about the fighters. Like I said, MMA is not really my area, but
right,
from what my buddy was telling me, he likes Barbosa. Just something about he's had a good history betting on Barbosa, I guess. So he
right,
doesn't want to go against that. I see a lot of people though on Twitter are taking Ige, so
right.
it'll be interesting to see what happens there.
So next Thursday night is we're going to do a show about the Bundesliga. I was calling it Bundesliga, but then you pronounced it
I think
Bundesliga.
you might be right on that. I'm not sure if I'm
I don't
pronouncing
know
it
either.
correctly.
I have no idea.
I know people that do it both ways, so like I have no idea.
Right.
A lot of
I
these
think
teams
maybe
I don't even know if I'm
Bundesliga.
pronouncing right.
But yeah, on Thursday, we're going to have on yourself to speak about what transpired this weekend, but then also looking ahead to the following week. It starts on Friday
Yes.
next week. Yeah. So then it'll be perfect. And do you know the other guy that's coming on?
No, who did you say it was?
So he's big on Twitter, and he's out of New York. His name is EJ the Rainmaker.
Ooh, I think I've heard of that.
And so
Sounds familiar.
I listened to his podcast, and he definitely knows what he's talking about for sure. And so, yeah,
Well, it'll definitely be
that'll
a great
be
time then.
yeah a good show, I think, to do it on Thursday night. You know, I came on earlier today and I was just testing, and I had like 3 and 4 people tuning in just for the test stream. You know what I mean? And now
Oh
it's
yeah.
difficult to get anyone to come on right now. Really, that's when we should be doing it. Or I don't know. But anyways, once the real sports are going, it should be a lot better. But I think, are you looking at the show right now? Like, can you see me? You can finally see
Yes.
me, right? Yeah.
Yes, yes, I
Right.
can.
So my wife, thankfully, is a barber or a hairstylist, right?
Yeah.
So I've been able to get my hair cut.
Well, I was gonna say it looks good. How you getting your hair done there? And obviously it's by your
Exactly.
wife.
Boom.
As you can see, I can't get my hair done, so
Well, yeah, yeah. You just got to tie it back.
yeah. Do this Lawtan, the man bun.
So where are we here in the UFC? There's just the main fights left here. Who won that one fight? Okay, they're all coming up. Edson Barbosa. No, but there's other fights ahead of him. Actually, one other one. Christoph Jotko and Eric Anders. There's lots of competition, obviously, right now in this limited amount of time, or just I don't know, maybe not many people watching, or
Hmm. I'm surprised. I'm still surprised. Like UFC was really the first one to make that big comeback.
why?
It's just I don't know. I'm just surprised because Germany with the Bundesliga, it kind of makes sense to me because they were really the last league to go out before all this happened. All the other leagues were starting to shut down, and they were trying to keep going until the players finally came out and said we had enough. So it's just interesting. It doesn't surprise me that the Bundesliga 2 months later would say, "Okay, things have calmed down. Let's get it going again." But I'm just surprised that the UFC uh, made this comeback when, especially when you have like the NBA, the NHL, they're still in talks. The MLB
Right.
has they've just decided now that July 4th is what they're going to be shooting for. So
MLB? Oh, right. Yeah,
yeah, and
MLB.
that's even then, that's like a month and a half away. So it's just interesting to see how UFC decided to make that comeback at this time.
Well, they have the crazy commissioner owner to do it, who wants to
Yeah,
do it. Plus, it's a little different in that it's just two men,
yeah.
right? Yeah. So, uh, have you heard of anyone having any issues in the Bundesliga? Because I mean,
Uh,
that would be a hot topic, wouldn't it? If we were here, wouldn't we want to know if there's been any issues with the players and all that? I mean,
I don't know. There hasn't really been any issues. The only thing I did read, which is actually, I think it was about Hertha Berlin,
mhm.
this is why I'm surprised they won this game today. It was their coach got suspended for violating the quarantine rules.
Right.
He went out, he left the hotel to buy toothpaste and something else, and he ended
Wow.
up, yeah, and he ended up with a suspension. So they're definitely disciplining, which is good to see. But
Right.
obviously, those things aren't going to be factors to the teams overall playing on the field.
I think you did a great job on the breakdowns over those first three games there, and that'll be I mean, we could take that. Really, that was one of our best pieces ever on this show. That the the first 30 minutes that we just did there. So
Oh yeah,
that was really good. Yeah, only because I was
it,
paying attention to the games today and know what's going on. Uh, but yeah,
yeah.
good work.
It's much better when you can actually see the games and see what's happening.
Yeah.
Like
No
when
doubt.
you look at that Wolfsburg match 2-1, you never would have
Oh
known that.
man,
Like you'll never know just looking at the final score that Augsburg was winning at some point in that match, and that could have turned out completely different.
that had draw written all over it, and then boom.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So those are things that like you just can't you don't get the feel for it. Now you know Augsburg, maybe they're gonna feel ripped off in their next game, be a little more pissed off when they come out and play.
right. So here we are. We're here with AM Plus Money. We're talking Bundesliga. We're talking UFC. We're talking coronavirus, and we're talking hoping that. What are we hoping for? Well, we're hoping for a show next Thursday, anyways, with EJ. So you should check out his. Here, I'll show you who he is. I'll send you a link here from his.
Yeah, perfect.
EJ. And so, yeah, you can see his podcast. Hold on one second here. So it's in the Discord. In our chat there.
Perfect. I'll definitely give that a look right after this.
So I don't know what else to say. I just wish all the sports were going. I wish baseball was going. I wish we got to do the Final Four tournament, all of that, and all of the playoffs. I've done really well over the years in the NBA and in the NHL. When I used to be a professional capper, I don't know, a professional capper. What other industry do you call yourself a professional? A professional painter. I'm a professional, you know what I mean? Just a handicapper, yeah. Anyways.
Well, it's gonna be nice once everything's back. That's for sure.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I'm trying to get Dan Kaiser to come join us here. But
yeah, I'm actually probably gonna have to pop out.
All right.
For 20 minutes right now.
You know what? There isn't nothing else going on. We did our piece, and that first 30 minutes AM was gold. So we can just take clips from that. You know what I mean? The first 30 minutes.
All right, perfect.
Yeah, brother. Nice work. And,
all right, thank you.
All right, and so
always a good time with you.
For sure, AM. And so next Thursday night, that'll be a really great show, and I'll try to have some more things figured out. All right, brother.
Oh, and if and for the Monday game, if people, so I gave out my pregame plays, but me and Al Mac are going to be live streaming that one at 2:30 Eastern time. So
on Monday.
So 11:30 for you guys. But yeah, we're going to be live streaming the game. We'll be there all game to.
Well, maybe I'll pop in even on that.
Yeah, so if the pre-games don't turn out, we'll definitely make some money on the live show.
All right. Good work.
All right. Have a good night.
Man. All right. Later, bro.
Have a good one.
Peace. And so we're out. That's it. That's the show. We did it. Boom.
That's perfect. That was great.
All right, brother. I'm going to hit it.